Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's family service. Nice to have you all here and there, and appreciate everyone joining in to participate in this service. Hopefully your own home altars, obutsudan is set up, however you decorate it, adorn it with flowers and fruits and obupan rice offering or donut or whatever you might have. Incense offering might be replaced with flower petals or rock pebbles, marbles, something nice, okay? And hopefully you've been able to download or copy the chants and some of the readings so you can participate fully. I'd like to welcome our guests here today sharing the podium here. We have the giraffe family. Mama Giraffe is here, and she has her mask on and reminding us to be cautious, continue to be cautious with the virus going on, and we're kind of getting used to it, but it's always good to have a reminder. So she has her mask and gloves, and two baby giraffes are here with us too. So they're joining us, and they always have their onenju, so they're ready for service. Down below, the giraffe family, they have a good friend, but he's kind of like a giraffe, but not really. He's imposter bear. So he has a giraffe costume on. So he likes to go where the giraffe kids go. So he kind of tagged along, and he knew his friend Sloth Baby would be here. And Sloth Baby knows his name, remember, is Tsuki. And so he knows how to give every time he comes to the temple. So he said, I'll show you. You go into the Osai Bako and you put in $1 or even more if you have it, but you just slide it in and the dollar goes in the slot. Then the temple can continue to teach everyone the Dharma, and we all learn about how to use our onenju and how to say Namo Amida Butsu. So Baby Sloth is teaching Imposter Bear some of the details about coming to the temple. So for today's service, we're going to have the reading of the 3 treasures. This will be followed by Rai Sanmon, and then I'll go up onto the altar. We'll chant the Sambujo and the Juseige and a short meditation. Then I'll come back for a brief Dharma message, and then we'll close the service, okay? So for now, please join me in the reading of the 3 treasures. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the 3 treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha, when we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in the life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teachings. Rai Sanmon. Ninjin ukegatashi imasudini uku, Buppo kikigatashi imasudini kiku. Konomi konjo ni mukatte dosezumba, sarani izure no shou ni mukatte kakonomi o dosen. 大衆もろともに四神に三宝に消えし立てまつるべし。自ら仏に消えし立てまつる。まさに願わくば主情とともに、大道を体現して無常意を起こさん。自ら法に消えし立てまつる。まさに願わくば主情とともに、深く共造に入りて知恵海のごとくならん。自らそうに消えし立てまつる。まさに願わくば主情とともに、大衆を通りして一切無下ならん。無常人人未妙の方は、百千万号にも愛をことかたし、我今検問し従事することを得たり、願わくば如来の真実義を消し立てまつらん。ナモ阿弥陀仏、ナモ阿弥陀仏、ナモ阿弥陀仏、ナマンダ、ナマンダ、ナマンダ、ナマンダ、ナマンダ。三部上、中世芸。 学利欲人少年上映修本業しぐむ浄土一生天理し人力現代公不詳祭道少女三苦名交際集約難会費知恵言滅死根毛案永息小悪道自然前修門高僧上満蔵異様老実法日願修十期天根不言一種解放像公正力法上大集中説法ししく供養一切物具足習得本元年出上満得意三概要両分無下地自然未不詳感覚営利投資最小損志願薬効果大仙の感動国書天人東鎮妙慶ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダ管理し苦力平等性祭道本も大師往生ナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダ Quiet meditation. Good morning, everyone. Once again, very nice to be able to enjoy this family service together with you. I kind of wanted to continue. Last week, we were talking about Mrs. Toshiko Kawamura, and lady in Japan during World War II. She married a Shin Buddhist husband and family, and she was a very devout Christian. And so I was telling this story last week, and very interesting how she thought, she was very well educated, college educated, and not expecting a lot in terms of going to the countryside and living with the farmers who lived a much more simpler life, in a rural area, whereas she's very much used to the hustle bustle of the big city and such. And so she looked upon it as an opportunity to share her Christian beliefs with them. And so for several months, every night she would talk to her in-laws, and they would listen intently to her stories, and still they had no thought to change, but she would tell her stories and points about her faith in Christianity, and they would listen intently, so, ha, 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 and listen. But, they were always just constantly so kind to her, so generous, and so sincere to everyone. And so their way of life was to go whenever they could, to listen to the Dharma. Different senseis would come to nearby temples, and they would walk over there and listen to the Dharma and come back, and this would be the center of their life. Listening to the Dharma was the main point, and after that, the time you had left was for work to be done. And so they lived their life this way, and they'd go to listen to these talks. People they worked with, they would all go together and happily come back in the evening, talking about what the sensei had said. And watching this for months and months, finally Toshiko asked if she could accompany them, and went to one of the talks, and the sensei was talking about a well-known quote from the Tanisho, and she was just intrigued by such a quote and wanted to learn more and more. And so this was the talk from last week, and she had 2 children, and she wanted to know so much more about the Nembutsu teachings that she thought she would have to go off and to listen to other teachers and go for other opportunities. And the parents would say, "Don't worry about the children, we'll take care of the children. Do whatever you need to do if you want to hear the Dharma." And so this is the story of what we were talking about last week. And so later on in the story, she was talking to her son, and he had grown up and finished college. And so he is looking forward to the next portions of his life, and he was so excited that the very next day was his graduation. And so they talked, Mom and her oldest son, talking through the night about all the things he had to go through and all the tests to get into college, and surviving the tests from hell, and all the difficulties, and so many people, teachers and friends that had helped him along the way. And so as he talked about all these things for hours and hours, he's talking about recollecting so many points of his life, and she was so proud of him. And so as he was getting ready to touch upon the most important person in his life, and so she was expecting to hear, "Thank you, Mom. I'm so glad that you've been a part of my life." And she's kind of expecting it, and kind of smiling inside and holding down her smile, waiting, just listening to the words, and how would he express himself to convey these thoughts to thank me. And so she's listening intently. And when he finally gets to the point of, this person was so helpful and taught me so many things about how to approach my life, and all these lessons will always stay with me, and that person is Grandma. And so she was so surprised to hear it wasn't her. She was shocked and wasn't sure how to react, but kind of swallowed her pride and said, yes, she is such a special person. So mom was a little bit hurt that it wasn't her, but it was grandma that her son's talking about and thanking so deeply. And so at the same time, she could understand. She was very, very special, grandma was. And so she covered up her own hurt pride and continued the conversation. And later on, she was able to talk to her next son, second son. And he's a little bit more closer, easier to talk to, and very sensitive person growing up. And they talk to each other about secrets and things all through their lives. So she talked about what older brother said, and the person most important in his life was grandma. And so the second son says, yeah, I feel exactly the same way. And so again, mom was shocked that, she thought at least the second son, who we talked so closely, maybe he would say, it was mom. No, you're important too, mom. Thank you, mom. But no, both of them point out to grandma how special she was. And in the story, the mother's saying, she was not even college educated, and not only not educated, she didn't really show a lot of common sense either. She took the mother-in-law to see a movie about Shinran Shoni. And so they're watching the movie, and there's one scene where Shinran is doing these austere practices, and it's raining on top of him. It's raining, making it even more severe of a practice. And so the mother-in-law leaned over and said, I didn't expect it to rain. I didn't bring my umbrella. And so mom was perplexed that this is just a movie. It's not really raining. And so then later on, the movie is done by this very famous, handsome actor in Japan. And so after the movie, when they're talking, the mother-in-law said, gee, Shinran Shoni is so handsome. I didn't realize that he was such a handsome man. And so these kind of things that came to mind, that gee, she's not even college educated, but she can't even tell a person in a movie from someone who's just the image of Shinran Shoni, not the actual person. And in the movie it's raining, but it's not really raining, and she couldn't tell the differences. But still, she was always so warm, so welcoming. Grandma was the mother-in-law. And in the 30 years or so that they lived together, never once got mad, never once raised your voice at someone else. And this kind of life of living the life of Nembutsu, appreciating the Dharma. She was such a soft, kind, gentle person, and this influenced her older son, her second son, and touched her as well, And so I think part of the lesson to that story is listening to her as she, even talking about her mother-in-law, she has to put her lower, that I'm the one that's educated. She didn't have an education. She didn't even have common sense. I do, and even though the mother came to appreciate the Nembutsu teachings, changing from Christianity to Buddhism, trying to study, read all she could about the Nembutsu teachings, she still had her own blind passions of greed, anger, and ignorance, jealousy, and these keep bubbling up, so she could see that in herself as she's talking to her first son, talking to her second son, talking about her mother-in-law, these kind of calculating mind that we each have. So when I read this in her story, it's a reflection of me. Maybe, hopefully, when you listen to this story, it's not only, gee, listen to that lady, but this is what we all do. We all do this. And so we continue to cling to this, the blind passions that we are wrapped up with in our lives. And although we have some appreciation of the Nembutsu, we fall short a little bit. We fall short. And so this is what is being pointed out in the Nembutsu teachings, that we always fall short when we compare ourselves to an enlightened being, someone who is infinite wisdom, infinite compassion, that is the image of Amida. So image of Amida, and in comparison, we always fall short. We have these limitations and they come up again and again and again. At the same time, it's okay, not just to live sloppily, but to live in this light of Amida. And through this image, through these teachings, we can continue to improve and share our lives of Nembutsu with our fellow beings, our families, and everyone in our Sangha. So I think it's a very nice story, and I'm very happy to share this with you. So thank you so much for listening. This will conclude our service. So at home, we will please come up here and there to Oshoko as we do, and offer your incense or flowers or rocks or marbles. Okay, please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, 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 Namanda. Thank you very much for joining us.